Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are spinning the globe and landing squarely in South America.
Mhm.
Specifically, we're heading to a country that has been, just absolutely dominating the travel algorithm lately.
Oh, it is everywhere. It's having a huge cultural moment.
It really is. I feel like I cannot open Instagram or TikTok without seeing someone, sipping coffee on a colorful balcony or hiking through these incredible misty palm trees in Colombia.
That's the shot, the Cocora Valley shot with the giant wax palms.
That's the one. And everyone is calling it the new Bali.
You hear that phrase constantly. It's the go-to comparison in all the travel blogs and the YouTube blogs.
Exactly. It's being marketed as this, budget paradise, this
Yeah.
misunderstood gem, the land of magical realism where
Yes.
your dollar just stretches forever.
There's always a but.
There's a huge but. We have a massive stack of sources today. We're talking articles, deep dive travel logs, government safety reports, and some really gritty economic breakdowns. And they all suggest the reality is, well, let's just say it's a little more complicated than the highlight reel.
Complicated is a very polite way to put it. I'd say challenging.
Yeah.
If we look at the source material, especially that Colombia Unfiltered report and the official advisory data, there is a massive tension. I'd almost call it a chasm
A chasm between what and what?
between the marketing pitch and the actual on-the-ground experience. The pitch is magical realism. It sells romance, adventure, beauty.
Right.
The reality, according to our data from travel reports, is intense. It's loud, it's confusing, and frankly, it can be physically and mentally exhausting.
So our mission today on this deep dive is to strip away all those filters.
The Instagram filters.
Exactly. We aren't here to sell you a vacation package. We are here to look at the receipts. We're going to focus strictly on three pillars: value, culture, and nature.
The big three.
Is it actually cheap? Is the culture what you expect? And is the nature worth the stress it takes to get there? Because that seems to be the recurring word here: stress.
It is. We absolutely need to move past the hype and look at the logistics.
Yeah.
Because, to be blunt, Colombia is not a beginner's destination,
Even though it's marketed that way now.
especially because it's marketed that way now. It requires a skill set. It's not a place you can just show up and wander around passively.
Okay. So before we dive into the really heavy stuff, and believe me, we will get to the safety warnings and the budget breakdowns, I want to start with three things from the research that completely surprised me.
The aha moments.
Yeah, the contrarian surprises, the things that go against everything I thought I knew about the country. I think most of us have a very specific image in our heads, and the data just doesn't back it up.
Okay, I love this. Let's hear them. Debunking the stereotypes is my favorite part of this.
All right, surprise number one. This one's about Medellin.
The golden child.
The Golden Child, the nickname everyone knows, is the city of eternal spring.
It's a fantastic piece of branding. The tourism board deserves a raise for that one.
They really do. You hear that and you immediately think mild, sunny, perfect California weather year-round. You picture yourself eating outdoors every night in a t-shirt.
You picture San Diego with a better exchange rate.
Exactly. But the reality check in the sources, it's brutal. Travelers, meteorological data, blogs, they all suggest it should be called the city of eternal rain.
Or the city of incessant construction noise.
Right. But the rain thing really got me. It apparently rains way more than the brochure ever lets on.
It does. I mean, you have to remember the geography here. Medellin is nestled in a deep tropical valley in the Andes Mountains. It literally creates its own microclimate.
So it's unpredictable.
It's incredibly volatile. It can be gorgeously sunny at 10:00 a.m., perfect weather. And then by 2:00 p.m., it is a full-on torrential tropical downpour.
Not just a drizzle.
No, I mean, streets flooding, you're soaked in seconds, everything stops.
Yeah.
So if you go there expecting San Diego sunshine every single day, you are going to be disappointed. And you are going to be very, very wet.
Okay, good to know. Surprise number two. Cartagena.
Ah, the poster child.
The absolute poster child of Colombian tourism. The walled city, the Caribbean coast. When I think of the Caribbean, I think relaxation. I think white sand, sipping a coconut, just hearing the gentle waves.
That is the expectation. That's what they sell you. And what did the sources say the reality was?
They said it might be the worst place to relax in the entire country.
Wow.
And get this, the beaches in the city itself, like the main tourist beach area.
Boca Grande.
Yes, Boca Grande. They're brown, muddy. Not the turquoise dream at all.
Yeah, that is a classic case of expectation versus reality.
Yeah.
People forget Cartagena is a massive, functioning industrial port city. It's not a sleepy island resort.
That context is important.
It's critical. Those city beaches have dark, volcanic-looking sand. But honestly, the sand color isn't even the main problem.
What's the main problem?
The vendor harassment. It is relentless.
Yeah.
It is nonstop. You literally cannot sit for 30 seconds without someone trying to sell you oysters, or give you a massage you didn't ask for, or put a bracelet on your wrist. If you want that postcard Caribbean experience, you have to get out of the city entirely.
And we will definitely unpack the logistics of how to do that later, because there is a fix.
There is, but you have to plan for it.
All right, surprise number 3. This is what the reports call the transport paradox. And this one really stuck with me because it seems so irrational.
Oh, this is one of my favorite economic quirks of the country. It really highlights the difference between a tourist and a savvy traveler.
It's wild. The research shows that domestic flights in Colombia are incredibly cheap.
Shockingly cheap.
We're talking cheaper than a bus ticket in Europe. Cheaper than a train from New York to D.C. You can fly across the entire country for $30 or $40.
I've seen them for $25. It's amazing.
And yet there is this steady, constant stream of travelers, usually backpackers, who punish themselves with these grueling 14-hour overnight bus rides through the Andes.
Nausea-inducing bus rides.
To save what, like $4? It makes no sense.
It's a combination of things, I think.
Yeah.
It's partly a sunk cost fallacy, or maybe it's a badge of honor for backpackers.
Yeah.
There's this idea that taking the bus is the real or authentic way to travel.
I get that,
But in Colombia, geography is the enemy of road travel. Those mountains are colossal. The roads are single-lane switchbacks. A flight takes 40 minutes. The bus takes all day. The roads are often closed by landslides, and you will probably get motion sick.
So it's a no-brainer.
It should be a no-brainer, but people get it wrong constantly. They look at the map, see 2 dots, and completely underestimate the 3 giant mountain ranges in between.
Okay, so with those surprises laid out, the rain, the brown beaches, the transport paradox, let's try to establish our thesis for this deep dive. Based on everything we've read, what is the final verdict?
The thesis is this. If, and I cannot stress this if enough, it is a massive if you structure your trip correctly.
Meaning you fly, you avoid the traps.
Exactly. You focus on specific regions, like the Coffee Triangle, Santander, maybe Jardin. If you do that, Colombia offers perhaps the highest value for money proposition in all of the Americas.
That's a huge statement. You're saying it's better value than Mexico, better than Peru or Bolivia.
In terms of what you get for your dollar in accommodation quality, food quality, and the sheer beauty of the landscape, the sources argue yes. The arbitrage is undeniable.
I feel a but coming.
There's always a catch when a value proposition is this high, right?
Always.
The catch is something we're calling safety fatigue.
Safety fatigue, what's that?
It offers high value, but it also brings high stress. You can never, ever truly turn your brain off. You have to be hyper-vigilant constantly. You're always scanning, always aware of your bag, your phone, who's around you. So the real question for a traveler isn't just, can I afford this trip financially? It's, can I afford this trip mentally?
That is a fascinating trade-off. We always budget our money for a trip, but we almost never budget our cognitive load or our mental energy.
Exactly. And in Colombia, that mental energy is a real currency you have to spend every day.
Okay, let's get into it. Section 1, the context and the clash. We talked about the new Bali label, but looking at the numbers, this tourism explosion is real. This isn't just hype.
It is very, very real. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, if you told someone you were going to Colombia, the reaction was, wow, be careful.
Yeah.
People called you brave.
Right, you were an outlier, a journalist or a hardcore backpacker.
Exactly. Today, if you go, you're just following the algorithm. The stats show record numbers of visitors from the U.S., from Europe, from all over. But this massive influx has created a very specific and very uncomfortable cultural clash on the ground.
The sources called this the narcos versus digital nomad effect. That feels like a very pointed description of the tension.
It is, and it's accurate. Let's break it down. On one hand, you have a huge segment of tourists, let's be honest, mostly young men, visiting specifically because they watched a certain Netflix show about Pablo Escobar.
We're talking about narcos.
We are. And we need to be incredibly clear about this because the source material is emphatic. Locals hate this.
Why do they hate it so much? Is it just, an annoyance, or is it something deeper than that?
It's trauma. It is deep collective trauma. For an international viewer, Pablo Escobar is a character. He's a charismatic anti-hero played by a handsome actor.
A gangster fantasy.
It's a fantasy. For Colombians who lived through the 80s and 90s, that was a time of daily car bombs, political assassinations, kidnappings, thousands and thousands of innocent people being murdered. It was a time of terror.
I don't think most tourists grasp that reality.
They don't. So when a tourist shows up wearing a T-shirt with his mugshot on it, or they go on a Pablo tour and ask where his grave is so they can take a selfie, it's seen as incredibly tacky, incredibly disrespectful, and profoundly ignorant.
The analogy one source used was powerful. It said it would be like going to New York and treating the 9/11 memorial like a fun theme park attraction.
Like a perfect analogy, you just don't do it. A rule of thumb for any traveler. Don't even say his name. People don't want to hear it.
Okay, so you have that tension, the glorification of their worst national trauma, and then on the other side of the coin, you have the remote workers.
Right. The digital nomads. Laptops, dollars, and a desire for cheap living. They are flooding specific neighborhoods, most famously El Poblado in Medellin.
And what's the impact of that?
The impact is gentrification on steroids. We saw one report that said rents in those specific gringo bubbles have gone up something like 300% in just a few years.
300%.
That's the number. So you have this dynamic where locals are being priced out of their own neighborhoods by foreigners seeking a low cost of living, while at the same time dealing with these other tourists who are romanticizing the man who terrorized their country.
It creates a vibe, I imagine.
It creates a vibe that can feel a bit transactional and sometimes resentful. You aren't always viewed as a welcome guest. You might be viewed as a walking wallet or a rent hiker.
Now, I think geography plays a huge role here in how the country functions, or maybe malfunctions.
It's everything.
You mentioned the mountains earlier regarding the bus paradox. The source material describes Colombia not as one country, but as 5 countries in one.
That is the single most important thing to understand before you book a ticket. If you get that, you'll get Colombia.
So what does that mean geographically?
Okay, picture the Andes Mountains coming up from the south, from Ecuador and Peru. As they enter Colombia, they split. They fork like a trident into 3 massive parallel mountain ranges called cordilleras.
Like 3 giant fingers stretching up the country.
Exactly, stretching up towards the Caribbean coast. And those 3 mountain ranges act as colossal walls.
So geography is destiny there?
Absolutely, 100%. Those mountains dictate everything. They dictate the climate, the culture, the food, the accents, and, as we discussed, the insane travel times. The valleys between those ranges developed in relative isolation for centuries.
So you get these totally distinct regions. The coast is one world.
A completely different world. Then you have the Andes, which is another, the Amazon jungle to the south, the Llanos or plains to the east. They might as well be different countries.
Let's break down those cultural differences a bit more, because I think a lot of people arrive expecting one singular Colombian vibe and get totally confused when they land in the capital.
Yeah, the pervasive myth is the Caribbean vibe. People see the ads with Cartagena and Shakira. They think the whole country is salsa, heat, and open-collared shirts.
And then their plane lands in Bogota.
And then they land in Bogota, and the sources describe it perfectly as London on a mountain.
That is such a vivid image.
And it's accurate. First off, Bogota is at 2,600 meters. That's 8,500 feet. That is significantly higher than Denver.
So it's cold.
It's chilly. It's often gray and rainy. And the people, the Rolos as they're called, they reflect that climate.
Rolos is the term for people from Bogota.
Yes. And Rolos are known for being more formal, more reserved. They wear jackets, scarves, boots. They speak a very clear, almost classical Spanish. They're polite, but not effusive. It is not a tropical party city.
So if you show up in flip-flops and a tank top, you're going to stick out.
You'll stick out and you'll be freezing. If you go there expecting a beach party, you will be miserable.
Then you fly to the coast, to Cartagena or Santa Marta, and you get the complete opposite.
The complete opposite. You get the costeños. They are loud, hot, aggressive, direct. The energy is 100 times more intense. The music is blasting from everywhere. It's a total sensory overload compared to the cool formality of Bogota.
And the coffee access is different again.
Totally different. The places and the farmers there are known for being polite, entrepreneurial, a bit more rural and slow-paced, so you have to constantly code switch. If you treat a Rolo from Bogota like a costeño from the coast, you're just missing the whole nuance of the country.
Speaking of expectations, let's talk infrastructure. The sources highlight this big gap between the promise of nature and the messy reality of getting to it.
This is the Instagram versus reality friction point. It's huge.
You see the photo of the giant, perfect palm tree in a pristine green valley.
All right. What you don't see is the 3 hours of navigating chaotic urban sprawl out of the city, the traffic jams, the diesel fumes, and then the bumpy, unpaved road you have to take to finally get to that valley.
So the peace and quiet is earned.
It is earned. You have to remember, Colombia is still a developing nation with developing infrastructure. The cities are dense and traffic choked. You have to wade through the chaos to find the calm.
Okay, so let's walk through that arrival experience. This is section 2, the city experiences. I want to put you, the listener, right in the shoes of a traveler who's just landed. Let's start with Bogota. What's the first thing that hits you?
The very first thing, physically, is the altitude. You step out of El Dorado International Airport, which, by the way, is surprisingly modern and efficient. It's a great airport.
Good to know.
But as soon as you exit the terminal, the air feels different. It's thin. You are very, very high up. You might feel a dull headache, a bit of dizziness, or get short of breath just walking with your bags.
And then the smell. You mentioned a smell.
The smell of diesel. The city's public transport runs on these big diesel buses. In the thin air at that altitude, the smell just hangs heavy. It's a very distinct atmospheric cocktail of thin air and exhaust.
And then you step out into the traffic. The source called it the traffic apocalypse. Is that hyperbole?
It is not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
The stats we looked at consistently rank it as having some of the worst traffic in all of Latin America, maybe the world. It competes with Mexico City and São Paulo.
What does that mean in practical terms?
It means it can take 2 hours to move 10 kilometers, which is about 6 miles. 2 hours. There's no metro system in Bogota. They've been building one for years, but it's still a long way off. So everything, cars, buses, trucks, is on the road competing for space.
So the advice here is very practical. Do not plan a single thing for your first afternoon.
Nothing. Zero. Your only goal is to get to your hotel or your Airbnb. That's it.
And how do you do that?
Crucially, you do not hail a cab on the street.
Why not? That's standard procedure in New York or London.
In Bogota, it's a known security risk. There's a type of express kidnapping they call the Paseo Millonario, the millionaire ride.
That sounds honest.
It is. You get in a random cab, and suddenly 2 guys jump in the back seat with you. They don't want to kill you. They just want to take you on a tour of every ATM in the city until your card is maxed out.
Wow. Okay. So what's the safe alternative?
Use the official taxi kiosks inside the airport where you get a printed ticket with the fare. Or use an app like Uber or Cabify.
But the notes say Uber is a little tricky there, not totally legal.
It operates in a legal gray market. It's legal for you to use the app, but the drivers themselves are often hassled by the powerful taxi unions and the police.
So there's a protocol.
There's a little cultural dance you have to do. The driver will almost always ask you to sit in the front passenger seat.
Oh.
So you look like a friend, not a paying customer. It's a way to avoid trouble.
Hi, I'm your friend. We're just going for a drive. It's a small thing, but it's important to know.
That's a great tip. Sit in the front, act like a friend. Okay, so you survive the traffic, you get to your hotel. What's the upside of Bogota? Why should people go there?
The upside is the sophistication. Once you get off the main traffic arteries and into neighborhoods like Chapinero or Usecan, it's lovely. It's all red brick buildings, beautiful parks, amazing little cafes and bookstores. And the food scene, as we'll discuss, is world class. And the politeness of the people is really striking compared to the chaos of the street. It's a city of extreme contrasts, brutal on the outside, very refined on the inside. Okay, now let's fly over to Medellin. The sources describe the arrival differently. They say it's like descending into a bowl of glitter.
It is a truly stunning visual. The main airport, Rio Negro, is actually high up on the rim of the valley, outside the city. So you take a taxi or a bus that winds down these steep mountain roads into the bowl where the city sits.
And at night?
At night, it's magical. The city lights stretch up the mountainsides on all sides of you. It literally looks like you're sinking into a bowl of gold dust or glitter. It's beautiful.
But once you're actually down in it, the vibe shift from Bogota is immediate.
Completely different city. It's younger, it's louder, it feels more energetic, like a city on the make.
What do you mean by that?
You see the mix. You see the gringo digital nomads in their short and tank tops working from cafes. And then you see the locals, the Pozas, who are known for being very entrepreneurial, very proud, and very fashion conscious. People dress up to go out in Medellin.
But we have to talk about the noise. The source material calls reggaeton the soundtrack of the country, but in Medellin it seems to be turned up to 11.
It is inescapable. I cannot overstate this. It is in the taxi. It is in the corner store. It is blasting from your neighbor's apartment at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday.
So it's just a louder culture in general.
It's a culture of presence. Silence is not really a value there in the same way it might be in, say, Northern Europe or Japan. Life is lived out loud. Music is a constant.
So if you're a light sleeper, what is the single most important thing to pack?
Earplugs. High-quality wax or foam earplugs are a non-negotiable logistical requirement if you want to get any sleep. Do not rely on quiet hours or hotel soundproofing. It will not be enough.
Duly noted. All right, let's talk about the wallet. Section 3, the economics of travel. This is where the whole value argument really comes into play.
This is why Colombia is so popular right now. This is where it really, really shines.
So first, the currency. We're dealing with the Colombian peso or COP.
Right. And the exchange rate has been very favorable for people with dollars or euros for the last few years. It fluctuates, but it's generally been hovering around 3,800 to 4,000 pesos to $1.
Which gives you that famous millionaire feeling when you go to the ATM.
It really does. You go to a cash machine and you withdraw 500,000 pesos. It takes a minute for your brain to process all the zeros. You feel like you're holding a fortune.
But once you do the math, you realize just how far that money goes.
Incredibly far.
So let's break down accommodation. The report we read talked about a sweet spot, something called the mid-range winner.
Yes. This is where the value arbitrage is greatest. Now, at the low end, you have hostels. And to be fair, the hostels in Colombia are excellent.
Better than other places.
World class. They have pods, privacy curtains, great social areas, good design, all for like $12 to $18 a night. If you're a student on a shoestring budget, it is paradise.
But what if you have a job and a little bit more to spend?
If you can bump your budget up to the $50 to $80 a night range, you enter a completely different world. You are no longer in a hostel. You are staying in gorgeous boutique hotels, in converted colonial houses with internal courtyards and fountains, or in old haciendas on coffee farms.
The source material compared that experience to staying in Napa Valley.
That's the comparison they used, and it's a good one. Imagine a beautiful hotel that would cost you $400 or $500 a night in California historic architecture, personalized service, a pool with a stunning view over the hills.
Okay.
In the Colombian coffee region, that exact experience costs $70 or $80.
That's unbelievable value.
It is unbeatable. You are paying Holiday Inn prices for what feels like a Four Seasons aesthetic and experience.
So what about the actual luxury end? Is it worth splashing out for the $500 rooms?
The sources say, generally, no. There's a ceiling of value around $150 to $250 a night.
Why is that?
You can pay more, for sure. You can stay at the big international chains in Cartagena, the Sofotels, the Hyatts, but you start hitting diminishing returns pretty quickly. The service levels in Colombia, while always friendly and warm, aren't always polished to that Swiss or Japanese standard of ultra-luxury, so the mid-range is where the real magic happens.
Okay, let's shift to food. I think a lot of people, myself included, have this misconception that all Latin American food is spicy, like Mexican food.
It's a huge misconception. Colombian food is definitely not spicy. In fact, it's quite mild. If you ask for picante or hot sauce, they'll often bring you ketchup or a very mild vinegary salsa.
So what is the food profile then?
It's hearty, it's caloric, it's carb-heavy. Think of it as fuel for farmers working in the mountains. Lots of potatoes, rice, beans, plantains, and meat.
So what's a typical daily meal?
The cornerstone of daily life is the corrientazo, or the menú del día. This is the worker's lunch. It is an absolute institution.
Walk me through what's on the plate.
Okay, it almost always starts with a soup, usually a delicious potato-based soup like ajiaco or sancocho. Then you get a main plate with a piece of meat grilled beef, chicken or fried pork, a giant mound of rice, piece of fried plantain, maybe a small salad, some beans, and it always comes with a fresh fruit juice like lulo or mora.
And the price for that entire feast?
$3 to $5
For all of that.
For all of that. It is incredibly cheap, it's fresh, it's filling, it is the best value calorie for dollar you can possibly find. But, and the sources are very clear on this, it gets repetitive.
You get rice and plantain fatigue.
Very, very real. After day 5 of rice, beans, and grilled meat for lunch and dinner, your palate might be screaming for some variety.
And that leads us to the other end of the spectrum, fine dining.
Right. If you are a serious foodie, you need to stick to the big cities. Bogota specifically offers insane, almost unbelievable value for fine dining.
Why Bogota?
It's become a gastronomic hub. You have restaurants like Leo or El Chado, which are consistently on the world's 50 best lists.
Hmm.
These are places doing really high concept stuff, avant-garde fermentation using rare ingredients from the Amazon.
And what's the damage for a meal like that?
You can get a full multi-course tasting menu at one of these world-class restaurants for $50 to $80.
A meal that would be, what, $300, $400 in New York or London?
Easily. So if you're into fine dining, Bogota is a paradise. You can eat at the best restaurants in the world for the price of a chain restaurant dinner back home. But again, if you go out to the rural areas, prepare for a steady diet of trout, plantain, and rice.
So let's wrap up the budget section with some hard numbers. Per person, per day. If I'm a shoestring backpacker, what am I spending?
You can get by very comfortably on about $35 a day. That covers your hostel bed, your corrientazos, and a few beers.
Okay. And for a more comfortable trip? Private room in a boutique hotel, nice dinners, taking Ubers.
You're looking at $75 to $90 a day per person. And for that, you are living very, very well. You are not watching the meter at all.
And luxury.
$180 and up. But as we said, that mid-range is where the value proposition is just off the charts.
There's one important note on costs, though, that we have to mention. The gringo tax.
Yes. The unwritten rule.
What is it exactly?
It's the informal markup that gets applied the second a vendor sees a foreigner. It happens in markets, with street food vendors, on the beach in Cartagena. There are no price tags on anything.
So the price is whatever they think you'll pay.
Exactly. So how do you avoid it? You must ask the price before you consume anything.
Before.
If you eat the empanada and then ask how much, the price just magically tripled because you've already consumed the product. You have no leverage.
Yeah.
Always, always ask cuánto cuesta first.
Good to know. Ask first, eat second. Okay, let's move on. Section 4. Logistics, traps, and how to fail. We've touched on this with the transport paradox, but I want to explicitly warn our listeners about what the reports call the map fallacy.
This is trap #1 for almost every new visitor. You look at Google Maps on your phone, you see Salento, the coffee region, and Medellin. They look so close. It's just a few inches on the screen.
You think, oh, that's like a 2-hour bus ride tops.
You think, I'll take the bus, see the famous scenery, save some money. This is a terrible mistake.
And the reality is?
The reality is a 7 to 9 hour ordeal on winding, single-lane mountain roads. You are stuck behind massive cargo trucks that cannot go faster than 10 miles per hour on the uphill sections. People are literally getting sick and vomiting in the back of the bus. It is exhausting and miserable.
And you save, what, 20 bucks?
Maybe. The fix is simple. Fly.
Just fly.
Fly. From the airports in Pereira or Armenia, if you're in the coffee region, it's a 40-minute flight. It costs maybe $40 or $50. It saves you an entire day of your vacation in a world of misery. You have to respect the Andes.
Okay. Trap, #2. The Cartagena beach trap. We mentioned the brown sand, but people still book these high-rise hotels in Boca Grande expecting a relaxing beach vacation.
The trap is thinking that staying in the city gives you the Caribbean beach experience. It does not. You will be disappointed and harassed. The fix is that you must get on a boat.
You have to leave the mainland.
You have to. You need to go to the Rosario Islands, which are about a 45-minute to an hour-long speedboat right away.
That's where all the turquoise water photos are taken.
That's where they are. That's where the white sand and clear water is. So my advice is to budget for a hotel on one of the islands for a couple of nights. Or, if you must, do a day trip, but be warned that day trips can be very chaotic and cattle call-like.
And the source is said to avoid a specific beach.
Avoid Playa Blanca on the island of Baru. It used to be beautiful, but now it is dangerously overcrowded. You'll be shoulder to shoulder with thousands of people. Jet skis buzzing by your head. It's the opposite of relaxing.
Got it. Trap, #3. The language barrier. I think a lot of Americans and Europeans assume, oh, it's a major tourist destination now. Everyone will speak English.
That is a big, big mistake. Outside of the very heavy tourist bubbles like El Poblado in Medellin or the walled city in Cartagena, English is extremely rare.
So if you go to the rural areas for that nature experience.
Or even just into a regular shop or a taxi in Bogota, you need some Spanish. You cannot wing it with English.
So what's the fix? Duolingo for a few weeks.
Download the Google Translate app and, critically, download the Spanish language pack for offline use, because you will not always have cell signal in the mountains.
Good tip.
And learn the numbers. At a bare minimum, learn your numbers. You need to be able to understand and negotiate prices. If you can't, you are going to pay the gringo tax every single time.
Speaking of signal, let's talk connectivity. Is a home roaming plan enough?
I would say no. Buy a local SIM card. Don't rely on your home carrier's roaming plan. It's often throttled to slower speeds, or it can be spotty.
Which carrier?
Claro or Tigo are the main ones. You can buy them easily at any mall. There's a bit of a premium to buy them at the airport, maybe $10 instead of 5. But honestly, for the convenience of having data the second you land, just pay the extra $5. It's worth it to be able to call an Uber right away.
And what about clothing? We talked about Bogota being formal, but there's a safety element to this as well, right?
There is. It ties into that concept of no dar papaya we'll get into. In the interior cities like Bogota and Medellin, locals do not wear shorts and flip-flops.
Even when it's warm.
Even when it's warm, they wear jeans or trousers. If you are walking around downtown Medellin in board shorts and sandals looking like you just came from the beach, you are screaming, "I am a tourist."
You're marking yourself as a target?
You're making yourself stand out, which makes you an easier target for petty crime. The advice is to blend in. Wear pants.
And pack a rain jacket.
A real one. A waterproof one, not a flimsy windbreaker. When it rains in the Andes, it floods. You will be glad you have it.
Okay, let's get into the heavy stuff. Section 5, the safety briefing. I want to spend some real time here because the sources are crystal clear. This is the biggest friction point for travelers. The entire core concept of safety in Colombia is summed up in one phrase: no dar papaya.
No dar papaya. The literal translation is don't give papaya.
Which sounds funny. It sounds almost cute, like a quirky local saying. But what does it actually mean in a cultural and practical context?
It means do not put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of. Do not make yourself an easy target. The logic is if you leave a ripe, juicy papaya out on the counter, someone is going to come along and eat it. It's your fault for leaving it out.
So if you leave your expensive phone out on a cafe table,
Someone is going to snatch it.
can you give us more practical examples of what giving papaya looks like for a tourist?
Sure. Walking down a busy street with your brand new iPhone in your hand, staring at Google Maps, that is giving papaya. Wearing a shiny gold watch or a Rolex, major papaya. Hanging your backpack on the back of your chair at an outdoor restaurant, that is literally serving up papaya on a platter.
Now, to a Westerner, particularly someone from the US or Europe, this philosophy sounds a lot like victim blaming.
It is victim blaming. Let's be clear about that.
It sounds like, oh, you got robbed. Well, you shouldn't have been wearing that nice watch. It puts the blame on the victim.
It absolutely shifts the responsibility for the crime from the criminal to the victim. The underlying message is you were careless, so it's your fault.
That is a really hard pill for a lot of visitors to swallow.
It is. It creates a ton of cultural friction. You'll hear tourists arguing, but I should be able to check my phone on the street.
Yeah.
And, morally, they are right. In a perfect world, they should be able to.
But it's not a perfect world.
And in Colombia, arguing about the morality of the situation is not going to get your phone back. It is the unwritten law of the land. If you give papaya, even the locals will shrug and say it was your fault. You have to accept that mindset to operate there safely. You have to make yourself a hard target.
Now, beyond petty theft, there is a specific, unique threat mentioned in all the safety reports that is genuinely terrifying. This isn't just pickpocketing. This is scopolamine.
Also known as devil's breath.
Yeah.
We need to really understand what this is because it's particularly prevalent in this region. Scopolamine is a drug. It's derived from the powder of the seeds of the borcaro tree.
And these trees are common.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll see them in parks and gardens all over the Andes.
Right.
They have these beautiful, big, drooping white or yellow trumpet-shaped flowers. They look lovely and harmless.
But they're highly toxic.
Extremely. When that powder is processed, it becomes a powerful hypnotic and amnesiac. It blocks the brain's ability to form new memories. And, this is the most terrifying part, it removes a person's free will.
It removes free will? That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It's not. It makes the victim completely compliant and suggestible. You don't pass out. You stay awake and seem functional, but you become like a zombie. You will do whatever you are told without question.
So how is it used by criminals?
They'll slip it into your drink, or in some reported cases, just blow the powder in your face. The victim then becomes their puppet. The thieves will say, let's go to your apartment, and the victim will say, okay, and let them in. They'll say, give us your ATM card and your PIN, and the victim will happily hand it over.
So they'll help their own robbers.
They will literally help them load their TV and their laptop into a van.
And the next day.
You wake up with a horrible, disorienting hangover and absolutely no memory of the last 8 to 12 hours. Your bank account is empty, your apartment is empty, and you have no idea what happened. It is a truly frightening substance.
Who is most at risk here? Is this happening to random people on the street?
The primary risk profile, according to all the data in embassy warnings, is single men, particularly foreign men using dating apps like Tinder.
So it's a planned setup.
It's a classic honey trap. You match with a beautiful woman on the app. She suggests meeting for a drink at a bar. She's working with a gang. When you go to the bathroom, she or an accomplice slips the drug into your drink. Game over.
So what is the protocol to avoid this? What's the advice?
The sources are extremely strict on this. First, never ever accept a drink from a stranger, and always watch your drink being poured by the bartender. Keep your hand over it. Second, if you're meeting someone from a dating app for the first time, meet in a very public place during the day, like a busy coffee shop or a mall, not a dark bar at night.
And the third rule?
And third, this is the most important one. Do not bring a date you just met back to your hotel or Airbnb on the first night. Just don't do it. It's not worth the risk.
And the sources say this isn't some rare occurrence. This happens weekly.
It happens daily in the big cities. It is not an urban legend. It is a real and present danger you have to be aware of.
That is extremely sobering. Let's touch on general health quickly before we move on. What about the water?
The tap water is generally treated and considered safe to drink in the big cities like Bogota and Medellin. The water systems there are quite modern.
But not elsewhere.
But it is absolutely forbidden on the coast and in small towns and rural areas. If you drink the tap water in Santa Marta or a small village, you will get sick. My advice is to just stick to bottled or filtered water everywhere to be safe. It's not worth the risk.
And stomach bugs in general?
You should probably expect to get one at some point. The bacterial biome is just different. Even if you're very careful, your stomach might react. It's a good idea to bring Imodium and some electrolyte packets with you.
So the final verdict on vigilance.
It has to be active vigilance. You cannot be a passive traveler here. If you are the kind of person who likes to, get a little drunk, wander home at 2 a.m. with your headphones on, trusting that the world is a safe place. Colombia is not for you. You will get into trouble. You have to be switched on all the time.
Okay, let's pivot to the good stuff. We have sufficiently scared everyone. Let's talk about why people go, despite all these risks. Section 6. Highlights, disappointments, and itineraries. Let's get the disappointments out of the way first.
The sources consistently single out the city of Santa Marta and, specifically, the nearby town of Taganga.
Taganga used to have a reputation as this chill backpacker paradise, right? A quiet little fishing village.
10 or 15 years ago, yes, that was the reputation. Now, the reports we read describe it as sketchy, dirty, unsafe, and unbearably hot. It has a heavy drug trade vibe now.
So it's not the place to relax on the beach?
No. It's basically just a transit hub to get to Tayrona National Park or to the dive sites. The advice is get in, do your activity, and get out. Do not linger there. It's not the vibe you're looking for.
And we already touched on the Pablo Escobar tours.
Just don't do them. It's gross. It's tacky. It supports a narrative that hurts the country. Visit the Museo de Memoria, the Memory Museum in Medellin, instead, to understand the real history.
Okay, now the soul moments, the things that make all the stress and vigilance worth it. What's number one?
The number one highlight in almost every source is the coffee region.
The A Cafetero.
Yes. Specifically, the little towns like Salento, Finlandia, or the slightly more remote Jardin. This is the heart and soul of the country.
Paint a picture for us.
Okay, you're staying in a beautiful small hotel on a hillside. Maybe you're even glamping in a high-end tent. You wake up in the morning, you step outside with a cup of the best coffee you've ever had, and all you see is mist rolling through these impossibly green valleys. You see coffee plants, banana trees, and you hear nothing.
Silence.
Absolute silence. After the constant roar of Bogota's traffic and the nonstop reggaeton of Medellin, the silence of the coffee region feels spiritual. You can literally feel your blood pressure drop.
And the transport there is unique, too. The little Jeeps.
The Willys Jeeps, these are these amazing old World War II era American Jeeps that are the workhorses of the region. They function as public transport. You pile into the back with locals and other travelers. You can even stand up on the back bumper, holding onto the roof rack, and you ride through these stunning mountain roads. It is fun, it's cheap, and it connects you to the landscape in a really cool way.
Another highlight mentioned was the Tatacoa Desert,
which is technically a tropical dry forest, not a real desert, but the landscape looks like you're on Mars. It's all these red rock formations, eroded canyons, and giant cacti. It's hot and otherworldly.
But the real show starts after the sun goes down.
The stars. Because it's so isolated and there's no major city for miles, there is virtually zero light pollution. There's a small astronomical observatory there. You can just lie on the ground, look up, and the sky just opens up. You can see the Milky Way so clearly it looks like a cloud. It's a magical, almost prehistoric experience.
And what about an urban highlight? Something that's not nature,
For me, it has to be the Medellin cable cars, the metro cable.
which is part of the public transit system, right?
Yes, and that's what makes it so amazing. It's not a tourist ride. It's how people commute. It costs less than $1. It was built as a social project to connect the poor neighborhoods, the barrios that are built high up on the steep hillsides, to the city center, and to jobs down in the valley.
But for a tourist, it's the best tour you can take.
Absolutely. You get in a car, and you just soar silently over the rooftops of these dense red brick neighborhoods. You see daily life from a bird's eye view, people hanging laundry, kids playing soccer on rooftop courts. And then it takes you all the way up and over the top of the mountain to Park RV, which is a giant nature reserve. It's the best tour in the city, and it really shows you the scale of the transformation Medellin has gone through.
Okay, let's put this all together into a practical plan. The sources suggest an ideal 2-week itinerary that focuses on that value in nature pillar we talked about. Can you walk us through it?
Absolutely. Here is the blueprint for a fantastic first-time trip. You start in Bogota, give it 2 full days, see the Gold Museum, which is incredible, one of the best in the world, and eat at a world-class restaurant like El Chato. Use this time to acclimate to the country and the altitude.
Okay, 2 days in Bogota. Then what?
Then you fly. You do not take the bus to either Pereira or Armenia, the 2 airports that serve the coffee region. Spend 4 days there. Base yourself in Salento, or the quieter, more charming Finlandia. Hike the Cucora Valley with the giant wax palms. Tour a real coffee farm, and just relax.
Then after coffee country.
Fly to Medellin, give it 4 days. Soak in the very different city vibe, ride the cable cars, go to a rooftop bar in El Poblado, maybe do the popular day trip out to Guatapé to see the giant rock and the colorful town.
So that's city, coffee city. What about the coast?
For the last leg, you fly up to Santa Marta on the Caribbean coast. But, as we said, don't stay in the city itself. Use it as a launch pad. Head straight to the entrance of Tayrona National Park for those incredible jungle meets ocean beaches. Or go up into the mountains just behind the city to the little town of Minca for waterfalls, cooler air, and hummingbirds.
So that itinerary gives you a taste of everything.
City, culture, coffee, mountains, and coast. It's a great, efficient plan.
But what if someone is listening to this and thinking, you know what, the constant vigilance, the traffic, the no dar papaya mindset, it just sounds like too much work. What are the alternatives for that kind of traveler?
And that is a totally valid feeling. It's not for everyone. If you want the indigenous culture and the amazing volcanoes, but maybe a bit raw, a bit less party-focused, I'd say Guatemala. Lake Etilan, hands down, beats Guatapé for sheer natural beauty. It is stunning.
Okay. And what if I'm a foodie and the lack of spice in Colombia is a deal breaker?
Mexico, 100%. Fly to Oaxaca or into Chiapas. The food is better, full stop. It's spicier, more complex, more regionally diverse. And the logistics in those areas are generally a bit easier for travelers.
And what if I just want the mountains and the coast, but with easier travel?
I would look at Ecuador. It's a smaller country, so the distances are shorter. You can do the Andes to the coast switch much more easily. And critically, they use the U.S. dollar as their official currency, so there's no math involved with the exchange rate. It's a great, often overlooked alternative.
All right, let's bring it all home. Section 7, the final verdict. Who is this trip for? Let's use that matrix from the source material. First up, backpackers.
Absolute, unequivocal YES. The hostel infrastructure is world-class. It is incredibly cheap. It's very social. The party scene is great if that's what you're looking for. It is a backpacker's dream playground.
Okay. What about mid-range couples, say people in their 30s or 40s?
Yes, but with a major caveat. My advice would be to get out of the big cities quickly. Don't spend a week trying to party in Medellin.
Why not?
Because the noise and the intensity can be stressful for a couple. Instead, go to those boutique rural experiences. Go to Barichara, which is a stunning colonial town. Go to Jardin. That's where you'll find the romance, the quiet, and that incredible value we talked about.
Got it. Now, what about families with young kids?
The verdict in the sources is caution, bordering on a hard no.
That's strong. Why is it so ill-suited for families?
A few reasons. The logistics are a nightmare. Pushing a stroller on crumbling non-existent sidewalks or up steep cobblestone hills is brutal. The food isn't very kid-friendly. It's heavy and often fried. And most importantly, that constant safety vigilance.
It's hard enough on your own.
It's exhausting on your own. Now imagine trying to watch your pockets, your surroundings, and your phone while also keeping an eye on a curious toddler who likes to wander off. It's just too much cognitive load. If you do it with kids, you need to do a bubble trip. Private drivers, all-inclusive resorts. Doing it DIY is advanced level travel.
You're finally luxury travelers.
This one is, it depends. It depends on your definition of luxury.
What do you mean?
If your idea of luxury is White Lotus-style service flawless, seamless, everything is perfect and on time, then no, service standards are still developing, things run on Latin time. But if your idea of luxury is adventure luxury, taking a private helicopter to a lost city in the jungle, staying in a high-end jungle lodge, having unique, unforgettable experiences, then yes, it's absolutely amazing for that.
So to summarize the entire proposition of this deep dive,
Colombia is worth IT. It is vibrant, it is beautiful, it is cheap. But you have to go in with your eyes wide open and accept the conditions of the deal.
condition number 1.
You must fly domestically to skip the terrible roads. It is not optional.
Condition number 2.
You must accept that nature is wild and unmanicured, not a national park with perfect railings and gift shops, and you must accept the noise.
The sources had a great final line. It said the country screams at you, but it hugs you.
That's it, exactly. It is the most alive place you will ever visit. It forces you to be present. You can't be on autopilot or just staring at your phone, literally, because someone might steal it. You have to be there, in the moment.
And that leads us perfectly to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. We've talked a lot about value. We've talked a lot about stress.
The question to leave you with is this. Is the high value of Colombia simply a subsidy for the high stress of visiting? Are you getting a discount on your hotel room because you are subconsciously being paid to do the work of being vigilant?
It makes you really think about what kind of traveler you are. Are you a passive tourist who wants to be served and to have things be easy and relaxing? Or are you an active traveler who enjoys the challenge of participating and navigating a complex environment?
Because if you're active, Colombia is a playground. But if you're passive, it could be a struggle.
That is the perfect place to leave it. Just remember, keep your phone in your pocket, don't give papaya, and definitely pack some earplugs. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Safe travels.
See you next time.